Howdy folks, it's Adriel the Hunting Gear Guy. This is the High Point 995. I've taken a couple of things off because I didn't want them on there, but it's still a High Point 995. It's a carbine, depending on where you are, 9mm PCC. It's the cheapest PCC you can buy in Canada. I think it's the cheapest PCC you can get in the US too. This one is empty. Our bolts hold back and our magazine's empty, so let's take a closer look at this thing. Now, I did a review on this thing. I did the written review almost a year ago. For whatever reason, I didn't get to the video. I was thinking about modifying it, and I just didn't get around to it. I'm doing the video now. This 995, so it's the cheapest one out there. I like cheap guns. I really like cheap guns. I don't like cheap guns that are designed poorly. This gun is designed poorly. There's a couple of design choices in here that would fit better in like a 1980s gun or a 1970s gun, just in terms of like materials chosen or design choices and that kind of thing. To the point where it's really hard to recommend this. That's the opening statement I'm going to make. Okay, let's get to some specifics. It's got a spring-loaded recoil pad. Why? Most PCCs use like just a chunky butt pad, if anything. Some will just use plastic. This one's got a spring-loaded butt pad. For the complexity in making this thing and installing it, I really don't know why they bother doing this. They should just use a butt pad that's got a little bit of squish to it, and don't bother with all the springs and screws and all this other crap that is necessary to do this. Just not bother. We've got a sling swivel on the right-hand side at the back here that I put on. You can choose whichever side to put on with these. You can replace one of the screws here. They sell them with, you can get a cheek rest if you want to, that can be popped on here. They actually have quite a few accessories that are for sale on the website for this thing. They're like, if you're in the US, the parts and accessories available for this thing are pretty interesting. They have a lifetime warranty in terms of parts and whatever. So you break something, they'll just like mail you a new one. So that's pretty good. But the design is okay. First, the plastic. The plastic that they chose on this is really odd. It's a soft, kind of like a cheap feeling plastic, but very, very soft and kind of unusual in terms of like a firearms plastic. So I don't really have too much of a problem with that. It just feels cheap. Who cares? But I feel like this gun, I feel like they spent the wrong money on the wrong things. Okay, the spring-loaded butt pad was one of them. That's one of the more obvious ones. But then if you look at like weird things, look at this pin and how it's retained. So there's a spring on there. There's a spring, and then you rotate the plate to take the pin out. That's a really odd choice of how to retain a pin compared to what everyone else out there does. So that's a little bit odd. The safety, nice and easy to use. It's right there. It's actually very easy to use as a righty. One thing to note is this thing's made for righties and not lefties. Just flat out. There's nothing ambi on it. The safety's not ambi. The magazine release isn't ambi. The charging handle, well, it's on the left side. I like it on the left side, but it's not ambi. It doesn't switch over to the other side either. And the magazines they chose to use with this firearm aren't the same as the ones that they use on their pistol. That's a really strange choice to make. To make proprietary mags, not just for your firearm, but to make it for like between platforms. That's not the same as their pistol ones. So the pistol ones don't work. And that means in Canada that this is a rifle magazine, aka 5 rounds only. And because it's 5 rounds only, you're going to need a lot of these if you want to compete with this, for example. If you wanted to shoot it in like an action shooting sport, you're going to need a whole pile of mags and some weird mag pouch, because these are actually quite a bit smaller than most of even my 1911 9mm mags. They're smaller than those. So you're going to need some weird magazine pouch or very adjustable magazine pouch in order to make that work. I don't mind the magazine and the grip and the pistol style of this PCC or of other PCCs. I find it very natural to just want to put the magazine in there, and I don't even mind the charging handle on this thing. Okay, so it's a bolt with a little rotating bit there. I don't mind it. What I do mind is, okay, if it locks to the rear and I put my magazine in and then I just pull this and let it go, it won't feed around. It won't feed around because it's not back full enough. It needs to be back a little bit more. So if I put my new fresh mag in and it's locked to the rear, I need to push it back and then let go, which I don't really like to do. Hey, you notice that there? You can pull this back and then you can lock it in by pushing that charging handle in. Why? Why? It's got a magazine hold open. Like you can, if the last shot is in there and you pull it, it locks it back. So why add in another one? I mean, I guess if you get a double feed or something like that, okay, that'll be handy. But I don't see the point on a firearm, especially if you wouldn't see that kind of a feature on other PCCs. I just don't think it's necessary, and it adds to the cost of, let's say, another process they have to do this thing, right? We got a top rail on this thing, plastic. We got a forend, plastic, which is okay. We got a quad rail on the bottom here, so if you wanted to put something on there, I guess you could. And then we've got a straight barrel with threaded muzzle there in case you want to run a comp or something like that. Although I ran a comp on this one and I got baffle strikes with it. Now between the $150 comp and this firearm, I would tend to blame the firearm since I've used that comp on other 9mm PCCs and it's ran just fine. With this one I got baffle strikes, which would tell me that either the threading or the barrel's off just a little bit, and that's what was causing those bullets to hit the baffle. It was actually very frustrating at the range because I was shooting and I'm like, why is it still so far off and giving me all this? My bullets were hitting the muzzle brake. That was causing the issues. Okay, why don't we disassemble this thing? Now, there's a bunch of disassembly videos on the internet, so I'm not going to bore you too much with specifics, but I'm pushing on that pin from the other side, rotate that guy until it's open, and then that pin will come out the other side. And that's how most of the pins on here work. They've all got like a little bit of a spring on there. So there's one pin. Why don't we take out this other one while we're at it? And if you can't reach it, they've got a little pokey in there, so you can hit it with, I don't know, something pokey. So I'm pushing on that thing, pulling on it. Come on. There we go. Out that pin comes. Okay, I've got both pins out. Next, I can take this guy and lever it over. You might have to get a screwdriver in there and pry at it a little bit to get that out. And then I can pull this top part out. There we go. Okay, there's that top part out. Again, weird design choices, right? Like, why is this using like this plastic cam lever to, anyways, get that off to the side. There we've got our upper, and we're just going to come off like this. Oops. No, we're not. I'm gonna have to get that bolt off first. They give you a wrench in the kit to remove this bolt. My kit is in the other room, so I'm just gonna use some pliers to pull this bolt off here for the charging handle. Okay, now I can remove it, right? Yeah, there we go. There's the upper. So this whole upper is a stamped piece of steel. It's located with these two pins kind of at the front and back. I don't know how repeatable that is. It's probably fine for a PCC. I don't mind this part here. And that gets us down to kind of the operating mechanism of this thing. You can kind of see that's our big chunky bolts on the top there. To remove it from the lower, not my favorite thing to do. We got to get this plate here and push it that away, which I found the easiest way to do this is they give you this rim over here, but if you hit on that, you're going to push it down into the plastic. I found it easier to start over here and then give it one of these. Buck off there. What a stupid system. I probably scratched up the plastic doing that too. What a genius moment. Okay, now we've got our action, barreled action. We pull off this little standoff here. That's a little plastic guy, keeps the barrel and the receiver apart. We're gonna have to take this and push it up so it can let go of, this pin is basically holding this part on to this part. So I need to push this whole deal up like that. Once it's up, now that pin can actually get out. So you notice I just pulled up there a little bit. I should be able to is famous last words, right? There we go. Pull it back. Is it gonna, oh, there it goes. And then out. And now I can, come on, there it goes. Wiggle it out forward. There's my recoil spring. It just fell out on me. And then I can take this whole deal off. I'm just going to put my recoil spring back where it belongs. It kind of goes right there. I shouldn't have to do anything here. Here you can see there's the trigger and there's the sear at the back there. So as I press that trigger, it pulls the sear down. And now I have to go find some parts. Okay, the piece I just put back on was this little connecting rod right there. That's that round piece that came off. That was the sear. And this part right here just connects it. And if you allow it, it will just fly off of there. Oh, and I've got it in the wrong spot. Lucky me. While we're in the guts of this thing, there is our bolt hold open right there. And that's about all I want to look at right now. It does have a nice feed ramp on it. It's single stack, so it shouldn't have any issues feeding. And I didn't really have too many issues with mine feeding. I did have a lot of issues with that bolt not wanting to feed when I had it like locked open on an empty mag. When we start taking a look at the bolt, there's some ugliness in here. Like, okay, yeah, there's whatever that is. Here's that pin that we had to release to get it out, and it just kind of holds in there. It's just like a little round guy, and it's seated and holding this double spring here. So we got a wider spring and then a smaller spring on the inside, and then that is going into the back of the firing pin right here. Looking at this setup from the top is hokey as all get out, because okay, so this firing pin, it grabs onto the sear like so. So that's ready to fire right there, and then it fires. But if you look at how far back it is right now, this long ass little needle here has to find its way through this track, through this gross, poorly finished track, and it has to basically ram in there and hit the primer. This is why some of these bend their firing pins, because there is a little bit of a run up. That firing pin is basically just like firing, like ripping at the thing, and hopefully it's guided enough to not hit the edges of that hole and bend it. But if it does, and you might end up bending or breaking one of these things because it's not really all that well supported. Okay, let's put this thing back together. I put the firing pin. There's my spring. There's the round doohickey. I'm going to get that post in there. That post is going to go in first towards the spring, and I'm just going to seat it against that spring to kind of hold this together. Time for some awkward shit here. Needs to go up and over the barrel. That needs to go onto this little shelf here. And then I need to pull back and... Oh, good. Neat. Maybe I'll do it this way. It won't be easy enough for you guys to watch, but it'll be easy for me to get it together and not lose my sanity. I'm going to pull it back. And I kind of need to move this little back piece until it's going to get through that hole. There we go. And then I need to latch this thing to capture it. Come on. That's almost there. There we go. To capture it so that it captures that little pin, and it'll hold it and pull it back. Now I can actually test fire this like this. There, I can hear that ping. And you can look through the bottom here. Let me see if I can get some light. You can look through the bottom and you can see that firing pin has to go all the way through that track in order to fire. Ugh. Ugh. Okay, now that I got that on, let's put this guy on. This little standoff that's going to hold right there. Let's put it on the stock. Pretty easy. Into the stock we go. There we go. There we go. In we go. Now that we're in there, we can grab this little guy here, pop it in there, mash up the metal thoroughly as we hammer it on there. That's part of it. We're going to get the metal bit on there. It's got a little rim there. In she goes. And you might need to push it back and in. Then we need those little pins, right? Yeah, let's put the little pins in there. So pin goes in, comes out the other side, hopefully. Comes out the other side, latch it like that, ×2. Grab the plastic upper. I really don't like how difficult this thing is to put on. Okay, on it goes. Latch that on there to hold that upper there. We're missing one thing, the bolt. The bolt handle goes in the side. Screw it on. Use the socket or a wrench. And you're now off to the races. You want to function check it. Just make sure that it's running properly. So cock it all the way to the back. Try the safety. Safety's working. Actually blocks the sear. And try the trigger. Hey, while we're doing that, I want to see what the trigger pull's like on this thing. Okay, 6 pounds, 6 ounces. So 6 pound trigger, a little bit heavy, and the trigger pad is not the most ergonomic out there. So that might seem like a lot of hacking on the rifle, but really it's because I think this rifle could either be cheaper or better made for the same price. I think like if they're making money making this thing right now, there's a bunch of crap on here that's not needed. You don't need the spring-loaded butt pad. No one does this. This is a stupid idea. You don't need it on a PCC. It's just a butt pad would be fine. Okay, save yourself whatever, $5-10 in parts and and assembling right there. The cross pin retention plates, Keltec has a better idea. Their pins just have like a little doohickey spring in there. They push or pull out, no problem. There's no locking mechanism on them. You don't need a locking mechanism on them. You just need some spring on there. It comes with a really weird trigger lock that kind of grabs onto the trigger. Not necessary. Get like one of the cheap cable locks and just send those along. The disassembly is a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass to disassemble this thing and get to the bolt. It's not ambi. Nothing's ambi on this thing. I don't really care because I'm a righty, but I'm just thinking about you lefties out there who might want a cheap PCC, and this is not really going to be the option because your face is going to be right next to that port up there. So I don't know if I'd want to shoot this as a lefty. And then the safety and the mag release, the fact that they're only on the one side is going to be painful. So I don't know why making it ambi would be a good idea. And then the magazine. Why is this a proprietary magazine? Why not use like 1911 9mm mags or something else? Or maybe even a double stack? Oh my God, that would be amazing. What if they just use like a Glock mag or something like that? Boy, like for the size of this grip, like they should probably be able to fit one in here instead of just a little single stack in there. It seems like kind of a waste. In the US, you can get like it's basically two of these mags like glued together and as an extended mag, but wouldn't it be better to just get like a double stack mag and just have more in there without having it be so long? I don't know, just my thoughts. I don't have them on here right now, but the rear sight is windage and elevation adjustable, and the front sight is elevation adjustable. Why both? Why do you need both? You don't need both. If just one of them would be fine. It'd be nice if this was metal. If this, I could take it as is, like the receiver, the top rail here. I could take it as is without it being metal. I think that's okay, but I would really rather have an aluminum or a steel or aluminum. Let's say an aluminum rail on the top there would be nice instead of all the plastic. And then the bits that go out the front here are less than worthless. The little bit that goes out the bottom there, it looks bent on all the pictures that I've seen. It was bent on mine. I think they just come like that. They're just not great for putting lights or anything like that on. They're not going to hold the weight. So why bother? Why bother with all that? As is, I can't recommend these things. The design's weird and bad in many cases. It's just not the thing that you want. The reliability for this one was like kind of okay. Kind of okay is not a very good thing to have. Like I mentioned before, the bolt hold open, change your magazine, put a new magazine in. You need to make sure that you press the bolt all the way back and then let it go, and then it'll feed around. If you don't do that, it doesn't feed around. Accuracy was 5 to 7 MOA at 100, which, I mean, that's okay. I don't really care too much as a PCC. I'm not expecting like amazing accuracy out of it. Yeah, I would get something else. I would get like the Keltec Sub 2000 or the MMP FPC. Those are looking pretty promising right now. I would rather have something with Glock mags, no spring-loaded butt pad. It's actually really weird shooting this thing with this spring-loaded butt pad because your face, like it moves over here. I'd rather just like have this all as solid. so that when it fires, my face stays in the same place and doesn't move in relation to my shoulder and my arms and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I'm complaining too much about the spring-loaded butt pad, but I think it's stupid to even have it on there. It comes with a sling, it comes with a custom tool, and it comes with a custom trigger lock. I don't think it should have any of those. I think they should just save the money and just not have them. I think they should update the plastics on it to something more modern. I think there's lots of other things. I'm going to put more thoughts in my article on this thing. Long story short, I wouldn't recommend this for a first gun. I wouldn't recommend this for a second gun. I would recommend this if you, I don't know, if you just want a cheap PCC to shoot at the range every once in a while, and you want the cheapest one possible. Yeah, this is your jam. It's the cheapest. If you want something that's actually good that you might want to shoot for competition or shoot for, I don't know, small game or that kind of survival situation, that kind of thing, like, no. Definitely not. There's better guns out there for more, of course, but you get more with paying for more when it comes to firearms. So I think for this, it would be a no for me. And that's it. Thanks for watching.